If you use a power hour in the morning, you're absolutely going to hate this video, hate my advice, and hate the fact that I'm going to tell you that your power hour is really causing you to be an amateur hour with your morning routines. Okay. So let me explain this. I'm going to introduce you first to the ripped grandpa, my friend Shaun, and we're going to talk about a big morning routine mistake that he made. I talk about this in my Perfect Week Formula book, and I'm going to fix this for him. Fix this for you. We're going to talk about the myth of power hours in the morning, why they're holding you back. But first, let me introduce myself. Once upon a time, there was a poor, socially anxious, binge drinking person named Craig Ballantyne who had two anxiety attacks that sent him to the emergency room. That'd be me. And I had those anxiety attacks so that you don't have anxiety attacks, so that you don't have stress. And I was put here on this earth to help you overcome the overwhelming chaos in your world. That's why I wrote the Perfect Week Formula, which you can get for free at craigballantyne.com/free books. But let's jump into the problemo. I live down in Mexico and I'm learning Spanish. And so we're going to talk about the problemo instead of the problem here. All right. So Shaun had this power hour. Shaun, what was his power hour? He was doing 15 minutes of gratitude. He was doing 15 minutes of a mind movie. He was doing 15 minutes of visualization, 15 minutes of prayer. He's a very strong faith-based person. So he was doing that. Now, the problemo is that his power hour increased his stress. And he's called the Rip Grandpa because, as you can see, when he was 42 in 2013. So he's 45 in that picture on the far right. And he's just as ripped as that today when he's about 52 or 53 years old. Now, Shaun runs an info product business online. And he sets his own hours and all that sort of stuff, but he has a big team that depends on him. And what Shaun was doing is he was getting up first thing in the morning and he was going into that power hour. And, he would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe do power hour. Then he would have breakfast and work out. And then by the time he finally got to work, it was 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and his job in his business, his number one money-making activity is to go and write what's called sales copy and emails to his list, promoting his products and services. But the thing is, by 10 o'clock in the morning, all of his team wanted to ask him questions. And so that most important thing that he needed to do kept on getting pushed off. And some days he never got any quality work done at all. So I pushed him on this. Here, this is 2013, this picture here of me and Shaun. He's 42 years old in that picture. Look at those biceps, like 42-inch biceps at age 42. This is actually, just as a side note, this was the weekend in 2013 when I finally committed to meditation, doing it 5 minutes in the morning. But I do it as part of my power hour after I've done the real work. Okay. So I call power hours amateur hour because if you require a power hour in order to actually go and do work, like if you go out, like I got to go and get my mind right in this power hour before I can actually do anything, that's an amateur approach to life. So, if you have something that you have to do every morning to get your mind right before you start work, whether it's a power hour, whether it's 30 minutes, whatever it is, whether you have this, some people have these 90-minute morning routines that, if you can't do a 90-minute morning routine before you start the day, how on earth can you exist in most times? Again, Shaun was 15 minutes of gratitude, 15 minutes of mind movie, 15 minutes of visualization, 15 minutes of prayer. Then he tacked on his workouts. And the next thing you know, he was too late to actually get anything done. And that's the problem. That is the problem with most people's morning routines. There's so much put into their morning routine that does not matter. Now, I'm not saying prayer doesn't matter because you can move it to another time of day, but it doesn't have to be in the morning. The gratitude, the mind movie, the visualization, it doesn't have to happen first thing in the morning in order for you to get work done. Here's another power hour that I found online. It's you got to do 20 minutes for your mind, 20 minutes for your body, and 20 minutes for your soul. Well, listen, those are all great things. 20 minutes of exercise. Yes, everybody should do at least 20 minutes of exercise every single day, but it doesn't have to be done first thing in the morning. And the reason why work has to be done first thing in the morning, I'll share with you in a second. But first, I want to mention that Alex Hormozi, a guy who's made over $100 million online, he has this video. One of his most popular videos is why daily routines make you poor and fragile. And I've been talking about this longer than I've known Alex, but when Alex is on, we're on the same wavelength and mindset about this. Alex gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He has a coffee and goes right to work. I drink a lot of water. Then I go right to work. Then I have a coffee. Then I do more work. It's almost the same. And we're very productive people. We have, he's sold more books than I have, and he's made way more money than I have, but it's the same wavelength. And we're very productive people because we don't rely on a power hour for us to actually get anything done. If you rely on a morning routine, like Alex says in this video, if you have to, you have to do a cold shower and you have to have a certain type of supplement, and you have to watch a YouTube motivational video before you can actually get anything done, it's a fragile approach. I call it amateur hour. So power hour is actually amateur hour because a professional has to get things done. Because I look at it this way. If you're a busy person, you have kids and you have a dog, what happens on those mornings when you wake up and the dog has pooped on the floor, your kids have puked on the floor beside the poop that's on the floor, and the power went out last night so that you slept in, you didn't hit the snooze button, but you slept in because the power went out, and you have a deadline at 12 o'clock for a very important project to be done. Now it's 9:30. What are you going to do? You're like, I can't do anything until I do my hour of power. My goodness, how could I possibly get any brain activity before I do an hour of power? Like, if that's your approach to life, it is, as Alex says, it's fragile. Or it's, as I say, it's an amateur approach to life. What a professional doesn't rely on inspiration. So the guy named Dan Kennedy, who's an influence to both Alex Hormozi and myself, he says, if you rely on inspiration to create something, like write copy or to, write books or whatever it is, if you're relying on inspiration, you're an amateur. Because professionals like Stephen King, like Dan Kennedy, like all the great novelists, they don't require inspiration. They look at creating content and producing stuff as a job with a start time and an end time. And the start time does not rely on inspiration, does not rely on an hour of power. It's, I'm a professional. I can go and do the thing. I don't need for my brain to be turned on. I don't need for any hacks or any biohacking to be done. I'm a professional. I can go right to work right away. Just like, any professional athlete, they need to come right off the bench in a pro sport. Like if you're the backup quarterback, you're not going to say, well, what, Tom Brady just got hurt, but I need an hour of power here before I step out onto the field here, people. So we're going to have to maybe take a TV timeout, maybe get Dr. Dre and Eminem to come back on, do Super Bowl halftime show version 2, because I need an hour of power before I go out there and perform. No, the backup quarterback, after Tom Brady gets smoked by somebody like he did several years ago, early in the season, the backup quarterback has to come on the field right away and perform like a professional. So the morning power hour to me is just not a professional approach. It is an amateur approach. It is an amateur hour. And so I encourage you to, you might be hating this. You might be saying, wow, this guy's a real jerk. He just is not respecting, my desire to do meditation and all this sort of stuff. Listen, I do meditation, and you can pray and you can visualize and you can do all that sort of stuff, because if it really matters to you, you'll make time for it. A lot of the times what you do is, if you take away these power hours, you go, you know what? I didn't really need most of that stuff in the first place, because you are a professional. So what I want to do right now is walk through some real world and really productive power hours, like what your first hour of your day really should look like. So we'll go through what Shaun did. We'll go through what I recommend for entrepreneurs and writers, for non-work from home professionals, because obviously you have to be somewhere at a certain time if you work at a corporate job where you have to clock in, et cetera. And also for busy parents, of which I am one myself. So listen, I do need you to understand that when you get rid of your morning power hour that prepares your mind to actually do work, you will actually have plenty of time to do that power hour some other time during the day. And you'll even have more time because you'll be more productive in the morning and you won't be stressed out later on. Or again, as I mentioned, most likely you'll realize that most of the stuff in the power hour didn't matter. You're doing things that are just taking up time. You're doing activities that don't lead to accomplishment. Most people spend their days full of activity. I got 5 minutes on this, I got 10 minutes on this, I got 20 minutes on this, I'm going to do 30 minutes here, then I do 15 minutes here. Great. You did 9,000 things. You did every single guru's recommended morning routine thing. And you got a lot done, but none of that stuff mattered. Again, it's like, if you have to go to New York from LA and you spend the first 3 hours on a boat going into the Pacific Ocean, great, you were busy, but that didn't matter. That does not get you closer to New York. And you have to understand that most of the stuff that you do in a day does not get you closer to your goals, and it just takes your time. And this includes, I made a video about this yesterday on my Instagram page. People really resonated with, every single email newsletter that you subscribe to and you read, every single podcast you listen to, every YouTube video that you watch, all of these are stealing minutes from things that really matter. Okay. Yes, you consume a lot of things. You keep up with, Joe Blow's podcast and Mary's podcast and all that sort of stuff. And then you got all the Netflix shows in there. You got all of that stuff that you have consumed that does not matter. So understand, you have to be a ruthless approach. As the Bruce Lee quote says, it's not about the daily increase, it's about the daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. Hack away at the unessential every single day. And that can only happen when you know what matters. So with Shaun's daily routine, as we talk about in the Perfect Week Formula book, is we got him to wake up, do his copywriting, which is his deep work, then do his team meetings. Then he did his workout. Then he had lunch. And then he did his hour of power. Now you see, he's doing all of the same things. It's a different order. It's a more effective order. He had huge breakthroughs. He had his best year ever the year after we implemented this at one of my workshops. And it was a game changer. Does he still pray, visualize, mind movies, gratitude? Absolutely. He probably does them even better because he's gotten all of the work done. How many times have you rushed through your hour of power, your meditation, your yoga, your exercise, your gratitude? You've rushed through it because you're like, oh man, I really got to get to that thing. Why not just get to the thing? Get it done and then enjoy your hour of power. So that's Shaun's daily routine. For entrepreneurs and writers, wake up, water, coffee, green juice, and work as quickly as possible. Get to work as quickly as possible. Daniel Pink has a book called When, the Scientific Perfect Time for Doing Everything. And he says, in the morning, we have the greatest discipline, willpower, and intention. Discipline, willpower, and intention. And so you have two options. You can use that greatest discipline, willpower, and intention on a power hour that you enjoy doing, that's easy to do, and that you would do anyways at any time of the day. Or you can attack the hardest thing, the thing that you want to procrastinate on, the thing that will move you ahead in life, the thing that requires the greatest focus. You can do it at that time of day, or you can push that thing off and do it when you have less discipline, less willpower, and less intention. What does it make sense to do? It makes sense to work as quickly as possible with your greatest discipline, willpower, and intention on the biggest problem. I call this matching your mind energy, your mental energy with the intensity of the activity. The intensity of activity, square hole. The intensity of your mind, the energy of your mind, the focus of your mind, square peg. Insert square peg into square hole. Okay, do not try and insert triangular peg into square hole. It does not work. All right, so make sure that you're matching your intensity of activity with the intensity of your mind and your brain power. What happens is you get clear thinking. There are no distractions, and you harness the power of the subconscious mind. So this comes down to planning and preparation. If you tell your brain the night before, hey, listen, I'm going to get up tomorrow, I'm going to work on this number one problem, your brain actually works on the problem overnight so that when you wake up and you go directly to it, the ideas, the solutions flow directly out faster than ever. And I know this, having written 3 books, that if I tell myself I'm going to write chapter 2 tomorrow, it's going to be on the hour of power and what you should do in the first hour of your morning and what you shouldn't do. My brain will do the thinking. It will write the paragraphs overnight. I will wake up in the morning and it flows out of me. I can write 1,500 words in an hour as fast as I can type. And it doesn't require a lot of editing. I know it. It works. Trust me. For busy non-work from home professionals, the people that have to go into the office, you got to wake up. You may need to wake up 5, 10, 15 minutes earlier. You have water and coffee. You sit down, you solve your number one problem in life, or you take advantage of your number one opportunity in life. If you got to get out of $10,000 worth of credit card debt, you wake up, you go right to it. Because otherwise I'm going to try and find time to work on my credit card debt. You never find time, okay? But if you dedicate that time in the morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to go through my expenses and I'm going to brainstorm things that I can sell on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or whatever to get some money to pay down that credit card debt. You can't tell me that if you woke up every single day and attacked that number one problem, that you wouldn't solve that problem faster than if you tried to find time for it in the week. Come on. You're going to get out of credit card debt faster. Okay. And if you have an opportunity, like, oh my goodness, I got a huge sales opportunity. I really need, you just sit there and think, you journal about it. You put together some ideas for a PowerPoint or your sales presentation, and you have that clear thinking. And then 15 minutes, like, trust me, 15 minutes, you think, what can you get done in 15 minutes? Listen, when I was a broke, struggling personal trainer, I worked 15 minutes on my online business before I had a shower and then went and trained my first client at 6 o'clock in the morning. So from 4:30 to about 10 to 5 on a good day, I worked on my online business, and that set me free in 12 months. It wasn't overnight, but it worked. 15 minutes at a time, you can really get things done in the slivers of time. So then you go and you spend the rest of that power hour preparing for work and getting off to work. But just give me 15 minutes in the morning of dedicated focused thinking. Now, for busy parents, here I am with baby Isabella. We call her baby Ella around the house, but that's Isabella Ballantyne there sitting on my chest. We're watching a little television, and I'm just taking some pictures with her. And that's at the end of the day, spending time on what matters, because I got so much done during the day. Now, here's the busy parents approach. And, as you know, when you have an infant, you are a busy parent. Now, I'm not running her around anything, but we're taking care of that. So for busy parents, what you need to do is you need to wake up, have water and coffee, and problem solve. That's very similar to the previous one. And then you get into childcare, right? So if you got a couple of kids, 4 and 7, you got to get them off to school, get up, work on your problem or your opportunity for 15 minutes. Because if you aren't doing that right now, you're not getting the quality of work done. And then the kids are going to get up because they probably heard you, and then you take care of them. That's it. That's it. You work in the slivers of time. That is how you solve the problems and you get ahead in life. That's the professional approach. Being able to turn on work immediately without requiring an hour of power that's really amateur hour. Now, the secret ingredient to performing like a pro is planning and preparation. The professional football player that has to step on the field has studied the plays, has practiced, has visualized in advance, and now they're stepping on. They're a pro. You have to be the same. You make your to-do list the day before. Okay. The pro knows the plays. You know what is the number one priority to attack in that 15 to 30 minutes. And then you set up your environment to win, which doesn't mean adding stuff into the environment. It means removing stuff from the environment, like this thing. Okay. It cannot be beside you when you're doing that 15 to 30 minutes of focus work. And then priming your subconscious to solve the problem while you sleep. Now, listen, I know that is a ton of stuff to throw at you at the end of this video. I'm going to make more videos on this because I'm so passionate about it, but I also go into huge detail about this. You can get my book for free, the ebook and the audiobook. Email required. Just go to craigballantyne.com/free books. Go through the perfect week formula, and you will be able to operate like a pro all the time at the snap of your fingers. All right. So grab that book at craigballantyne.com/free books. Drop questions, objections, and comments down below this video so that I can make the next video even more thorough for you.